Yeah, so please start recording the session as well. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I am Parul Grover, Assistant Professor, Delhi Metropolitan Education. On behalf of DME, I welcome you all to the DME webinar series. Today, the topic of this is admission process and career prospects at Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University for law, management, and media courses. My co-host in this webinar is Mr. Ritvik Ghosh, Assistant Professor DME. This session will be moderated by Dr. Swati Jain, Head Outreach. We have with us today Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami, Director DME and HOD DME Management School, Professor Dr. Ambrish Saxena, Dean DME Media School, Professor Dr. N.K. Behel, Dean DME Law School and Head Judicial Training Academy JTA, Professor Dr. Bhavish Gupta, Head Academics, DME Law School, and Dr. Swati Jain, Head DME Outreach. Welcome, sir and ma'am. This webinar today is very important for all the prospective IPU students and future DMEs. With this, I hand over the forum to Dr. Swati Jain, Head Outreach, and also the moderator of this webinar. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Parul. I welcome you all to this webinar on admission process and career prospects at Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University for Law, Management and Media courses, as told by Ms. Parul. Now, as we all know that the current COVID era or the current COVID situation has posted many challenges to each one of us in a different manner. When it comes to the student community, their careers are at stake. Many of them who are going to enter from their schools to college have not originally these students are already confused, and now with the COVID situation they are even more confused because so much information and so much confusing information is flowing down from all the corners that it becomes very difficult for the students to choose the right courses, the right colleges, the right universities. Now, in the past few days, DME has already tried to provide information or sort out the queries of students on many of these fronts. And this webinar today is yet another effort by us in this direction. So today we'll just try to tell you something about the Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, which is a state government university of Delhi. How do we enter into the courses for this university? Then what are the advantages or disadvantages of choosing government universities or private universities or state universities? So these are some of the areas that we will be discussing for students so that they can make conscious and aware choices about their future. Now, before I begin, I would just like to share my screen so that I can provide you inputs properly. Can you see my screen, Parul?
Yes, ma'am.
See my screen?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yes, we can see your screen, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so when we move on to the career guidance series, wherein we have been trying to provide our students information about this type of courses that they should choose, the proper colleges and the universities they should be choosing, there are few things that we need to take into consideration. And the first one begins with the course and the university that you want to choose. So as this session is focused primarily about Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, I'll provide you some inputs about this university. So Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University is located in Delhi, and it is the state government university of Delhi government. This university is NAC A-graded university and obviously recognized by University Grant Commission. Now, when we come to a government university, there are various advantages that we have, which we will take up at the later stage in this presentation. GGS IPU as the university it is a member of Association of Commonwealth Universities. It is a member of Association of Indian Universities, then Medical Council of India, Distance Education Council, and Bar Council of India. With all these affiliations and the NEC A-grade A accreditation, the university has a lot of repute as far as the academic industry is concerned. Now, because this is a state university and this is a government university, so the choice of courses that are available for students is very large. As you can see on the screen, there are engineering courses which are available. There are law, business management, medicine, mass communication, education. All these are the fields for which GGS IPU is offering various courses. So let it be a law degree with BA law or BBA law, let it be engineering degree with any specializations, let it be business management with BBA and MBA, medicine, mass communication with BJMC, or education. All these courses are available at GGS IP University, and the students can register for any of these courses. The admission process for this university will be again taking up at a later stage in this presentation and for the various courses. Now, GGS IPU, it has more than 120 affiliated colleges in Delhi primarily and in the nearby areas. This makes it a huge university. And again, as I say, the advantages of a government university are always there. Now, out of these 120 affiliated colleges, the only affiliated college which is lying in Noida is Delhi Metropolitan Education. We are the only college which is affiliated with GGS IPU in Noida, and we are located at a very, very convenient location at Sector 62 near the Fortis Hospital or the Sector 62 metro station. Now, as I said, that government universities have certain advantages. Firstly, these universities, because they are funded by the government and are affiliated, they have regular affiliations. So the huge advantage that the students who go for any government university is that first and foremost, the degrees that are provided by any of these universities are authentic and recognized nationally and globally. In the past few years, if the students have kept track, there have been many universities which have been, forging documents for students, and the students have been cheated by these universities. The private university courses have sometimes this kind of disadvantages which need to be strictly taken care of. See, if any one of you who is going out of class 12th, a regular age group out of class 12 is 17 or 18 years. And if we take the normal life expectancy of an individual to be 75 years, then the remaining, the remaining years of your life, the 50, 55 years that you're going to live, will be decided by the choices you make in the next 5 years. So these coming 5 years are very crucial, and the choices that you're going to make in these 5 years are going to affect your entire life. So the foremost advantage of a government university is that their degrees, whether you want to apply for any higher education course, whether you want to apply for any further education, or you want to go for higher studies to some other country, these degrees are authentic and they will be recognized by all the global universities, all the universities at the global level. Then obviously, because the funding and other things are huge, the course options which are available for students are very broad. The number of courses, the number of options that these universities provide to students are much larger in comparison to other universities. Then obviously, the huge academic resources, the libraries, and the professors that are available, all well qualified, because there is a defined system of recruitment with the affiliated colleges and the universities. So the academic available with these universities are very huge. Government universities obviously have a lower fee structure because their aim is not to earn profit, but to provide education to all. So the course fee for all the government universities and even affiliated colleges are lower in comparison to many private universities and private universities, because even the private colleges which are affiliated to government universities have a regulation on the fees that they can charge from the students. And finally, the intact and traceable academic roots of the students are very strong. In the past few years, as I said, we have seen many universities closing down. Now, once a university is closing down, yes, there is the official process, there is a legal process, and the students can obviously find out, take hold of their degrees and other things. But then at times it becomes a problem. With the government university setup, whether an institute affiliated to the university closes or continues, the roots, the academic roots of the individual lie strongly with the university, and you can always have your degrees, credentials, whatever you want from the universities. So among the two main advantages that government universities have that I would like to highlight are, one, that their degrees are authentic and they are recognized globally. And secondly, the intact and traceable academic roots of the students are very important even at a later stage of life. Now, as I said, the Delhi Metropolitan Education is an institution, is a A-graded institution affiliated to GGS IPU, and we are the only institution which is operational in Noida for a very long time. We are a young institution and a very vibrant institution which is operating in Noida. So Noida is, DME is affiliated to GGS IPU, and we have law courses. So it is approved by Bar Council of India, and we are the only institution affiliated with GGS IPU in Noida. And DME has been graded A by GGS IPU for the past 5 years continuously, and holds a very strong ranking as far as the institutions affiliated to GGS IPU are concerned. The BBA at the Management School of DME is ranked among the top 4 evolving undergraduate management courses in the country. You can see the credentials on the screen itself. Then DME Law School is also ranked among the top 25 law colleges in India. And DME Media School is perceived to be among the best media colleges across India. If any one of you has been following us, you must have seen that we are having the first 10-day international conference with the DME Media School. Now, the various courses that we are running at DME are, we have 5-year integrated law courses, that is BA LLB and BBA LLB. And the intake for these two courses are, for BA LLB, we have 180 seats intake per year. And for BBA LLB, it is 120 students intake per year. Then for BBA, that is Bachelor's of Business Administration, intake of 180 students per year. And with BAJMC, that is Bachelor's in Journalism and Mass Communication, we again have 180 student intake every year. Now that makes the total count to be approximate to be 660, which in itself is a good number. And then that gets us to a huge student community of approximately 2,500. It is not approximately, it is rather the accurate figure, that we have 2,580 students currently enrolled at DME. Now, to handle this huge amount or this huge number of students, we have a very strong faculty which has 100+ members, which are catering, which are imparting knowledge and information to these students and grooming them and making them ready for the future. DME has a very strong student-oriented environment. So we have 15+ student societies. The student societies are for the grooming of students. They perform various activities, and if the students are interested, then if a group of, say, around 15 to 20 students approach us, we always start a new society for the students also, depending upon the need of the hour or the interest of the students. And the very focused research area, one of the areas which is very essential as far as the academic industry is concerned. So DME has 9 active research cells which are continuously engaged in research, coming out with research papers or with books or multiple other projects. Continuous FDPs are a part of the DME culture. We also have a full-fledged DME placement cell wherein the students are groomed and then placed according to their interest into the various companies, various good companies. And we have a DME mentoring cell. Now, mentoring is one area wherein the students and the teachers collectively come together to groom themselves, to upgrade themselves, and wherever there are problems, they sit together and sort it out. Cybersecurity is another issue which is currently being faced in the COVID era. It has increased a lot. So DME also has a very active cyber cell wherein the students and faculty collectively look into the cyber problems of students wide and large and try to sort them out and help them out. These are some of the student societies that DME is having for the students. So we have the DME Radio Society, we have DME Sports Society, then we have DME Fashion Society, Style It, then we have DME Art Society, Spectrum, and so on and so forth. For any interest area of the student, practically there will be a society to which they can get attached and they can groom their personal skills and can excel ahead. So these are some of the societies which are associated, which are there for students at DME. Now, as far as the infrastructure is concerned, to cater to such a huge number of students and to look or to deal with the challenges of the current environment, you need a very strong infrastructure wherein the students can prepare themselves for the upcoming challenges. So DME has a very strong Rabindranath Tagore library, which is all set for the students with huge number of books. Then we have a Nelson Mandela auditorium, amphitheater, seminar hall. After this presentation of mine, we'll be just going for an infrastructural video where we'll see the highlights of the infrastructure that is available for students at DME. So apart from the library, auditorium, the amphitheater, which in a posh location of Noida 62 becomes very difficult, DME has a huge amphitheater. Then we have a seminar hall. Then we have a Studio 62, which is especially meant for DME Media School students to learn video and video recording and record their programs. Then we have a moot court. Now moot court, as the law students know, is in action of the entire courtroom structure. So we have a moot court and we have a moot court society also, wherein the students are groomed accordingly. Then the lecture theaters, computer labs, audio and video labs. With all these infrastructural points, DME has is a forerunner as far as the academic front is concerned. I highlighted in the previous slide that we have large number of research cells. So there we are, forerunners at the academic front. Then we have student societies which help the student groom, and these both are supported by the strong infrastructure that is provided for students at DME. Now, as far as the admission process is concerned, as I said that any government university has very specific norms, and these norms cannot be molded or manipulated for one person or two person. These are common norms which are there for everybody. So GGS IPU has a very strict and straight set of admission process, which is to be followed by every institution, affiliated institution, and we cannot go beyond the rules and regulations of GGS IPU. Now that means any sort of lacunas or any sort of malpractices cannot be practiced at any of the affiliated institutions, and so at DME. For BA LLB and BBA LLB, that is the law courses, the integrated 5-year integrated law courses at DME, you have to apply for CLAT and CET. You have to register for both of these if you want to go for GGS IPU. CLAT is the overall test, and then for IP University does not conduct the exam for this, but yes, it will take the scores for CLAT. So if anybody who is interested in law courses registers only for CLAT and does not apply for CET, under any circumstances, they will not be eligible to get an admission into GGS IPU or any of the affiliated courses. So those who are interested in applying for law courses, please ensure that you are applying for CLAT as well as CET. This is dual application, which is to be done for law aspiring students. Then as far as the BBA is concerned, BBA and BA JMC, for both these courses, the CET exam of IP University is there. Any student, I am repeating, for university, for a government university admission process, these entrance examinations are a must. Howsoever high scorer you may be, if you have not filled in these forms, then you will not be able to apply for admission at GGS IPU. So this is a reminder, in case you have not registered for these examinations, please do register. For GGS IPU law courses, these are the two links. We will be floating these links in the chat box also. after I am done with my presentation. You can directly copy them from here itself. So this is the first one is the CLAT registration form wherein you have to register for CLAT, and the fees for this is rupees 4,000. And the lower one, the second one is the CET IP University CET entrance registration form, for which the fees will be 1,200 rupees. So for law courses, you have to apply for both of these at both of these portals. You have to register at both of them. This is the screenshot that I have taken from the CLED website itself. You can just go through it. Currently, the date is till 1st of July. The last date of registration for CLAT is 1st June. Please do not wait for the last moment in case you are interested in a law course. Whether at any university in India, you have to ultimately apply for CLAT only. And then in case you're interested in CLAT plus IP University, then you'll have to apply for CET also. So please mark the dates. The date for CLAT registration is 1st of July as of now. And then the university is intending to conduct the exam. But let us see, we're looking into the COVID situation, whether they'll be able to do it or not. But ultimately, CLAT registration is a must that every student who is interested in applying for law must go for. Similarly, for BA, BBA and BA JMC, this is the link for the CET form. This again we will be floating in the chat box once we are done with this presentation. You can copy it from here itself. And for this, the last date is, as of now, 30th June 2020, and they have mentioned the time also, which is 23:50. Now that means, again, we are repeating, please do not wait for the last moment. See, there are a lot of changes which are going into the current, admission process or in the current environment. What at least we can do is that we can do, fill the required forms and be safe on our own side, so that at a later stage when we are taking decisions, let us not be, deficit of registering or something else. So please make sure that you are registering for CET also at the IP University for BBA and BA JMC. Both these links, all these three links will float in the chat box. Thank you. Now with this, the overall admission process and for GGS IPU and CET, DME college, we have explained. In case anybody wants to raise any question, then you can type in the chat. I'll take it later on. After this, I would like to invite Dr. Ambrish Saxena. Sir is an accomplished media personnel, professional researcher and author, and he has been associated with the magazines like Pioneer and Amrit Bazar Patrika. Sir has authored 36 books and is currently Dean at DME Media School. I'll just stop my screen share and I'll hand over the mic to Sir, the webinar to Sir after this. Ambrish sir, are you there? Ambrish sir? Ritvik, can you please confirm if
Sir's audio is off. I've asked Sir to unmute it. Now it's good to go.
Sir, good evening. Yeah. I welcome you to this webinar and request you to address the audience.
How much time I need?
Should we show the infrastructure?
Yeah. Yeah. At Delhi Metropolitan Education DME, we have an excellent infrastructure. We have a studio for production which is known as Studio 62. It was inaugurated by Tigmanshu Dhulia, who is a noted filmmaker. And within the studio, we have so many facilities. We have a chroma setup, we have a news setup, we have a chat room setup, and since floor is splendid, we can shoot any kind of program. We also have a separate radio studio.
And we have also organized Mega Film Festival SIFI and International Conference ICANN, and receive lots of films and receive lots of paper in that conference.
For a college, the software is very important. In my college, the software comprises of three things. First is the teaching. Second is the research, and third is the mentoring. With the help of these three softwares, we train a student in such a manner that placement is just a byproduct.
One of the essential features of Law School at DME is its well-equipped moot court. Since its inception, DME has organized several moot court competitions and workshops just to enhance the mooting skills, which have been conducted under the distinguished guidance of various luminaries from bench, bar and academics.
Judicial Training Academy is the most shining feature of Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida. We have a huge library to help out our students with more than 15,000 books, including Halsbury's Laws of England.
DME has a very robust library infrastructure that not only caters to the curriculum needs of the students and the teachers, but also provides a great academic ambience. The library is equipped with latest books, journals and other e-resources.
At DME, we not only believe in academic excellence, but we also provide platform to students to showcase their talent through big open amphitheatre, beautiful auditorium, multi-purpose seminar hall, equipped with world-class facilities. Recently, we have conducted Cultural Fest Aloha in January 2020 and Anugunj, that is the Universal IP Fest, in February 2020.
Thank you, Ritvik ji. Amrish sir, it is over to you.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. I mean, all those who have joined this session, I welcome everybody on behalf of DME, on behalf of DME Media School. And if I can tell you about DME Media School, as you have just now seen in the film that was shown to you, we have the kind of infrastructure which nobody has in the country. So it's not the question which college you need to choose in IP University or which college you should choose between IP University and making a selection between IP University and Delhi University. That's out of question. If you want to study journalism and mass communication, then DME and DME Media School is the only place for you, whichever part of the country you are living. We have no comparison with any media institution in the country, and we are the best in almost everything. I mean, somewhere we might be the best, somewhere we can be among the top 5 or top 10, but then there can be no better place to study journalism and mass communication than Delhi Metropolitan Education. One, as I said, the infrastructure. To the faculty, you compare the faculty of DME Media School with the faculty members working with any institution of the country, you will not find a better quality of faculty members, right? So here, I mean, in these two things, there is no comparison as far as faculty and infrastructure is concerned. Now, when it comes to teaching, now, every college, I mean, all those who are there in the session would have studied till 12th standard. After that also, you will study somewhere in any college or university, wherever you take admission. But then there could be a conventional kind of teaching. We in our country have been following that kind of practice. There is no departure to that, and there are several reasons behind. In our country, the education system is not that good as far as the policy making is concerned, or the execution on the proper policies is concerned. So what happens, we follow the same stereotyping wherein the teacher will go into the class and the lectures are taken and you are taking the notes and you are writing those notes in the examination. Though we are working in university setup and we go by whatever syllabus has been prescribed by the university, but then beyond that, it's our domain, it's our planning as to how do we execute and how do we add value to whatever is prescribed and whatever we are supposed to do. So we add value in the sense that because media is completely a subject which is less theory, more practical, it is more application based, because whatever study you do in any bachelor's or the master's program, ultimately you will be finding a job in some newspaper, in a news channel, or in any other media organization. So there you have to work. So what is more important important than taking the lectures and taking notes and all, that you learn how to work in a media organization. The operational part is very, very important. And there are small things, because if you are joining a television channel and if you don't know anything about camera or about editing or scripting, so whatever good marks you would have obtained in your theory papers, that will not help. Nobody will look into your marks. Look into your marks means, I mean, nobody will bother. No employer will bother whether you have obtained 70% or 80%. The only thing that when you will be going to a media organization for interviews, for seeking a job, they only will look into your skills, whether you are skilled or not. So skilling is very, very important. So we take care of that. Anybody who is studying in DME Media School, you talk to any student, they will be well versed with handling camera, editing, any part of the video production or the electronic media or the news media. Another thing which is supposed to be there in a media professional or in any budding media professional, that you have to be well versed with whatever is happening outside. So we take care of that as well. We have regular sessions to keep the students updated. Every day there is a session in the class wherein the contemporary issues are picked up and the discussions are happening. So and for that, what we do, like if I can give you one example, last year we started a daily news bulletin. You would have never heard that any educational institution is broadcasting a daily news bulletin, because preparing a bulletin, compiling a bulletin and putting it on air is a task which is very professional, and only a television channel can do it. But we did it. We did it for the whole year, and every day we are taking one or two stories on the most pertinent topic of the day from the country and abroad, and we were providing all that vital information on those stories which you will normally not get in any newspaper or in any digital media platform. So this is something which is not done, I mean, what to say of India, which is not done by any media institution in the entire world. So if you are part of DME Media School, then obviously you will be into these kind of exercises. And then we always believe in a learning-based system. So no stereotyping will work here. Learning based means we treat you more than a student, because in a digital time, the whole concept of teaching has changed. It's not that I'm going to the class and delivering a lecture, you're not interested or interested, but that will not work. I will make the whole system in a manner wherein you are participatory in the learning process, meaning thereby, as I already explained, either you will be making your program, you will be taking out your newsletter, you will be making your video program. So this is learning by doing. So you will be doing the things on your own. So it's a hands-on training which we impart. And since I refer to newsletter, I must tell you this: in Delhi Metropolitan Education, every school takes out a 4-page newsletter. But since we are a media school, so we have more responsibility as far as the media practice or media training is concerned. So what we did was that we increased the number of pages of this newsletter from 4 to 8, and then we increased it from 8 to 12, because more and more students are writing, all the faculty members are writing. So a lot of such contents are being generated, for which we need a space. Because if all that material is put, then it is also available on the DME website, all the newsletters and all. And not only that, when there was an overflow of the content during this pandemic period, we took out 4 special editions of DME newsletter during this period. And then from June onwards, we have turned this monthly newsletter in a fortnightly newsletter. So in the month of June, we have taken out 2 editions. Each edition is of 12 pages. And there is a contribution by the student. They are writing the stories, they are making the pages. So it's a completely a collaborative effort of the students and the teachers. And so this kind of collaboration you will never find. anywhere. And then when it comes to the industry interface, I can give one example from this newsletter exercise only. During these last 4 editions that we have taken out, any one of you can go to DME website and just cross check, just look at the quality of the newsletters that DME Media School has taken out. We have got the articles written from the best of the journalists in the country. So you can understand the kind of interface that DME Media School has with the industry. Like in the last issue, only one article on the front page was written by the editor of the Business Standard, which is a very reputed newspaper. And then as far as the international interface is concerned, or international exposure is concerned, we have a tie-up with so many organizations and individuals internationally. And whatever we are doing, whether we are organizing a film festival or whether we are organizing a conference, always there is a tie-up. Like we have a tie-up with the Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia, and we have organized 3 very big programs in collaboration with them. These days, we are conducting a 10-day conference. This conference is this is ongoing. Any one of you can go to our social media, to our website, and you will get all the details. This is a 10-day conference, which is on the digital mode, which is live, and this has never happened in this world. So, our 4 walls are not India. This has never happened in the world. At the most, and this is not only with media, in any subject, nowhere you will find a 10-day workshop has happened, and that too completely on the digital mode. The best conference in the world of communication and media research is for 6 days, that is conducted by IAMCR. But then we always set the benchmark. So if you are part of DME Media School, if you take admission here, so within 3 years, you will be a transformed person, and you will be on top of the world, wherein there will be no competition for you. You will be full with energy, you will be full with skill, you will be full with thought, and then the world is yours. So, taking up a job will not be a problem. Every organization would like to hire you if you have studied in DME Media School, because what you would have learned 3 years in DME Media School, that will be unmatched. So when you are going to take up a job in any media organization, and somebody would have come from any other media school, you will be far away. You will be far above as comparison to any competitor which you might be facing. So all those things are very, very important whenever you decide to take admission in a just journalism and mass communication program. And I told you most of the things because there are so many things to tell, wherein, within a short span, it is not at all possible. And if I come back to the conference that we are holding, 10 days, we are holding 29 sessions. And we have been having sessions from 2 experts from Deakin University, Melbourne, only yesterday. Day before yesterday, we had a session with Betty Dam, who is one of the renowned journalists in the world. She is from Europe, and she has been working in Iraq and Afghanistan for so long. She has written a book on Mullah Omar. Another book is also going to be published, and she talked about embedded journalism versus independent journalism. And along with her, there was an expert who was associated in that talk, in that program that we have did before yesterday, Mr. Ibrahim. So this kind of exposure, and that too, we are working in the university setup, so there's no cost involved, there is no extra thing involved, and within that minimum cost, within that minimum thing, you are getting all that which is otherwise unimaginable in any media organization. And since we have the kind of, I will advise anybody who want to take admission in DME Media School, this will be your lifetime opportunity. You will never get this kind of opportunity if you decide to take admission in DME Media School. And you can simply look at the quality of our students. This 10-day conference is happening. Anybody can get the link, or we can provide you the link. You join in any of the sessions, you will find the numbers which are there. The students who are continuously attending the conferences, and if you can look at the timing of the conferences, it starts at 9:30, it is going on till 6:30, and for throughout 8 to 10 hours, students are there, and they are not only there, they are asking the questions. You check into the chat box. So this kind of participatory approach we have established in DME Media School, wherein we as teachers and students, we work in tandem, we work hand to hand, because ultimately the question is not that we are preparing you for the job. The question is that if you can add some value when you join the industry, if you are an enriched person in thought and skill, and if you can do something different, something good for the society, that's the ultimate thing which we need to achieve. So our target have to be different. Our target should not be simply to take admission and pass the examination and get a degree. Our goals have to be beyond that. So we are working towards that task, and I urge upon all people that if you want to make a right choice, come and join DME Media School. There can be no better place than DME Media School and Delhi Metropolitan Education. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for that informative session wherein the students got a clear picture of all the things that we at DME Media School have been doing for grooming our students. A couple of queries that the students have raised. First of all, what is the placement scenario at DME Media School? The students, as per your information, are very well groomed for the industry. So as far as pass out batches are concerned, what has been the placement scenario for them?
See, placement is not at all a problem, because everybody gets a job. Anybody can check the status of even the current students who have not entered into the final year exam, but everybody is working. Everybody has got a job, because we train you to become an entrepreneur. You become your own employer. So if you want to take up a job in a media organization, in a television or newspaper channel, obviously you will get that. But then if you want to be your own owner, and if you want to do something, so you can do a lot of things, even sitting at home. There are a number of students during this pandemic time, during this lockdown time, they are sitting at home and they are working. And they are working because in the digital age, it's not at all difficult that you have to go to some organization to do a job. Students are working digitally in many media organizations, and they are earning. So your capability, if you are capable enough and you earn all that in 3 years, job, there should be a scenario wherein you are looking for one job and you are getting 4 jobs. So we will land you in that position wherein this placement will become immaterial. Your pockets will be full with jobs, and you have to choose where you want to go.
Okay, that's very correct, sir. And probably the students who are interested, they can connect with us also on our social media handles and can see what the students at DME have been doing. So one more query, and this is again regarding placements only. A student wants to know that after doing BJMC, is it like a course sufficient in itself for placements, or should they go for higher studies, or they should do something else along with it? The course content and the total package as such, whether it is sufficient for a student or whether they should pursue higher something else.
Yeah, if you do a bachelor's degree, honestly, now that is your take. We are providing everything, but if you are uninterested after taking admission, you are distracted, you don't want to study, then obviously to some extent we will try our best. But then that is because it's a collaborative thing. We are making efforts, then you also have to make efforts. So it's a joint thing. Now, as far as this specific question is concerned, I believe that after doing a bachelor's degree in journalism and mass communication, you don't need to go for higher studies or to doing a diploma or the master's degree unless and until you want to join academics. if you want to join academics or research, then definitely I will suggest you to do your masters and to do your PhD. But if you are interested in making a career in the industry, then all that training which is desired to take up a job in a television channel, in a newspaper channel, in an advertising agency, in a PR agency, in an event management company, any of these areas, if you want to take up a job, so you will be working so much and your portfolio will be so rich in 3 years time that you will not be feeling any requirement to further study and you can instantly join the industry.
Yes, that's very correct, as you highlighted, sir, that it is always a mutual effort between the institution and the student that finally, decides the future of a particular student. Thank you so much, sir, for these wonderful insights and the information for the students. In case students, you want to ask something else, you can always post your queries. Sir will be available. We can take up the questions later on also. Thank you so much, sir. Let's have another glimpse of DME. Can you please play a video?
The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects. Nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill we are sure to get here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ritvik. We also have amongst us Professor Dr. N.K. Behel. Sir was formerly the District and Sessions Judge for UP Judicial Services, and currently Sir is Dean at DME Law School and Director at the Judicial Training Academy. With almost more than 80 papers in his nifty in various research, conferences and seminars, Sir has been guiding the law school of DME and has been grooming the students for a very long time. We welcome you, sir, and I now request you to address the other students.
I'll share my screen also.
Ritvik, sir, we'll just need to check if sir is the co-host because he needs to
Yeah, he can share.
Okay, right.
Ma'am, screen is rightly shared?
No, we can't see it, sir.
Sir, you can carry on, please.
Welcome to DME. All the students of the country are welcome to Delhi Metropolitan Education, Sector 62, Noida. A very good introduction has already been given to all of you by Dr. Ambrish, by Dr. Swati Jain and Parul ma'am. So far as the law faculty is concerned, the most important question which I am looking at the chat box also is the placement. I'll be directly starting from placement point of view also, because the students are always interested in their placements after the law degree. So dear students, as you know that the changing landscape of legal education is very much challenging, and the pedagogy at DME Law School inspires the students to become a part of corporate sector, academicians, practicing lawyers, and even judges, contributing in the development of our nation. Judiciary, although being one of the most sacrosanct institutions, remains to be a very sidelined aspect of legal education. There is a dire need to bring back the breed of phenomenal judges, which is a stepping stone towards the achievement of justice. For assuring access to justice, the role of judges is of utmost importance. Now I was talking about the campus placement at DME. We have so many corporate firms. They have come to our college and selected our students. To name a few, like Masilmani Law Partners, Godrej Properties, we have TCI, that is Transport Corporation of India. They have also selected our students. Lex Foxes is another name. Tex India, Legistify, APN News, Dagger and Dagger, Aptara, Gagar and Partners are the few names among so many others. They have selected our students for their placement. Now, the most important feature of DME, dear students, is Judicial Training Academy. DME has started a free of cost pro bono in-house judicial training for our own final year law students with an endeavor that every desirous and deserving student of DME gets his seat assured on the dais of the courtroom to provide justice to masses so as to prepare an egalitarian society. Our Judicial Training Academy is headed by our worthy Director General, Sir, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhamar Singh. He is a former judge of Allahabad High Court. In this Judicial Training Academy, a 360-degree comprehensive training is given to our final year students at preliminary, mains, and interview levels of competitive examinations. This exercise, in fact, saves their precious 1 year, which they would have devoted to any coaching center after completion of their law degree. And of course, when you join a coaching, you are supposed to shell out 2-3 lakh rupees also, which you save when you take admission at DME. And recently, our 2 students from JTA have been selected as judges. Miss Harshita Rastogi, she was selected as Civil Judge Junior Division in UP Judicial Services, and luckily she is posted at Noida itself nowadays. Second student, Mr. Santosh Kumar, has been selected as Civil Judge Junior Division in Bihar Judicial Services. So with the help of JTA, many of our students have qualified NET examination, LLM entrance examination, and few have become assistant professors also, and they are teaching in prestigious institutions. And some of them are pursuing their master degrees even abroad. Dear students, during this COVID period also, our JTA is fully functional through Zoom, Google Meet, WhatsApp, and emailing system. All the students of Judicial Training Academy, including our alumni, are in constant touch with our faculty members. Now coming to few salient features of knowledge imparting process at our law school. The current and perfect knowledge of law is provided at DME by expert teachers. All of them are NET qualified and few of them are PhD in law also. We have a big library with all the relevant books and journals, proper moot court and seminar hall 2, besides a lavish Studio 62 for recording of video lectures, which are sent to students in advance before they come to classroom. Special legal research development programs are organized for imparting skills of dissertation writing to our students. And salient features of the skill imparting process at DME Law School is that we are organizing Justice Krishna Iyer lecture series conducted on monthly basis. And in this series, we are inviting eminent High Court and Supreme Court judges as special speakers on the current issues. Now, so far as the mooting skills are concerned, the skills of the law students are sharpened with the help of programs like moot court competitions, trial advocacy, seminars, webinars, legislative bills draftings, and case analysis or comment writings, etc. At DME, we are also very specific regarding development of our faculty. We are organizing faculty development programs at DME for development of not only our own faculties, but also for faculties of various other universities. Now, so far as experimental learning is concerned, the attitude of our students at DME is being molded by jail visits, police station visits, court visits, parliament visits, National Human Rights Commission visits, and many more. And another startling feature of DME, dear students, is research and article writings. All the faculty members are involved in legal research and innovative article writings. Even our worthy Director General, sir, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhamar Singh, sir, he is a former judge of High Court of Judicature at Allahabad. He himself has written many articles on current issues, current topics in prestigious and esteemed magazine India Legal, which is connected with APN channel. Besides this, dear students, we have a legal aid clinic at DME, and we have adopted one complete village in Sector 51 to make that village litigation free. We have taken a vow that this village Shahjahanpur will be litigation free in the coming times. We are also organizing Model United Nation at our college. Youth Parliament was also enacted by the students. Trial advocacy is another feature of our DME. In nutshell, I can say, dear students, that DME is the best law school in NCR area. You are welcome to DME. Most welcome to DME. Thank you very much.
Thank you for providing that in-depth knowledge about the efforts that are being made at DME Law School for the students. Now, there are a couple of specific questions that the students have asked. You had highlighted about Judicial Training Academy, wherein the students are being provided hands-on training with the law services, and you have said that you have already adopted a village where you are providing these services. So can you elaborate upon how these services help the students in proceeding for a career in judiciary or advocacy?
We have approximately 40 law subjects when a student appears in competitive examination, because at JT, at DME, we are covering not only UP Judicial Service, we are taking care of Delhi Judicial Service, and adjoining states also like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Himachal, Uttarakhand. So in all, we have approximately 40 subjects. Our reading material and classes are organized in such a way that first of all, we take care that the students are ready for taking preliminary examination. Once they have cracked the preliminary examination, we are training them for the mains examination also. In fact, our motive is prepare for the mains and then appear in the prelims. So we are training our students for the mains directly, because if they are ready for the mains examination, their prelims will be ready beforehand. And we are guiding our students at interview level also. That is the last stage of joining the judicial service. And we have prepared all PPTs. We are ready with more than 12,000 PPTs with us so far as the preliminary questions are concerned, MCQs are concerned, and equal number of PPTs for the mains. And the beauty is that suppose one topic is covered in say 12 or 14 slides of PPT, you take a printout of those 10 slides and you will have a ready-made answer before you. So this is how course has been designed, that you get a complete answer which is to be asked in the mains examination if you take a printout of those slides dealing with a particular subject. So we are training our students like this, that they are prepared for mains examination, and preliminary preparation is automatic. So we are giving to our students 12,000 set of multiple choice questions covering all the 40 subjects for their prelims preparation, and equal number of slides, equal number of PPT presentations for their main examination as well as interview. Thank you, ma'am.
That's wonderful. One point highlight that is that can be a key for students to make the law as a career, or choose DME or GGS-IPU as their career. One major highlight that you would like to point out.
Well, dear students, the major highlight of DME Law School at Noida, as I told you, is the Judicial Training Academy, first of all. Then we have extensive training for the law students, because the law in action and law in books is different. Law in books is being taught at DME in the classrooms, But law in action, when it comes to law in action, we go to the court compound, we go to the jail, we go to police station, we go to National Human Rights Commission, we go to the parliament, we go to Supreme Court, we go to the High Court. So this law in books and law in action, the gap is being covered with the help of practical training given to our students through Judicial Training Academy, as well as by visiting so many other organs of the legal system. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for the wonderful insight. Lots of students who are actually very confused currently because of one, their natural age-related and course-related confusion, and another is the COVID era, which has actually confused the students. Thank you so much, sir. Just now, another glimpse of DME.
DME was established as an institution for the entire community to come together and excel. We have students who come and learn in a very good facility. We have faculty who are not just well qualified and competent, but are also constantly motivated to teach their best and also pursue research. For well-wishers to come here, for intellectuals to have a place here and contribute in this mission of providing the best education to the young minds in all the courses that we offer, law, media, and management. In making this happen, as the management, we are constantly trying to improve our facilities. Our infrastructure is international in nature. We've tried to bring together all the relevant stakeholders to participate in this mission. We've tried to ensure that the workings and processes of this institute are fundamentally sound. It is our hope that those who have the desire to succeed find a place over here and pursue this goal of excellence. We motivate all of them in achieving this task. If you're associated with DME or wish to get associated, then I welcome you all over here and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. We also have amongst us Professor Dr. Ravikant Swami. Sir is currently director at DME and also holding the charge of Dean at DME Management School. With 23 years of hands-on experience in teaching, Sir has a doctorate from University of Rajasthan and his thesis was published by Lemberg, Germany. I would hand over the webinar to Sir to kindly address the audience.
Thank you, Dr. Swati. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Sir.
Okay, so it has been almost means evening, so I will start with good evening to all. And first, for the audience, let me throw a starter question. The starter question is that what is education? Well, to my mind, various definitions of education have been given, but I think education is that asset which nobody can snatch away from any person. Anybody can take away your laptop, your car, or your key, but then education is something which nobody can take away from you. Second, when I'm talking about BBA, there is a paradigm shift. There is a change in the trend in the sense that earlier when companies were recruiting MBAs, I'm sorry, I'm speaking something against the MBAs, but the point is that the shift in trend is that companies which were earlier recruiting MBAs are now recruiting BBAs for various known reasons, which I'm not going to discuss now. I can discuss it some other time. But this is a change in the trend. The trend is shifting in the sense that companies which were recruiting MBAs, means my co-speakers may disagree on that, but then the trend which is going on is that companies like Amazon or Byju's or NIIT, they were earlier recruiting MBAs, now they are going for BBAs. So we have a BBA course, and now I'm going to tell about this BBA course at DME. We started very recently, we started in 2012. And I must say that we defy the dictum of old is gold. If anybody says old is gold, yes, we are here to defy that dictum. So we started in 2012 and it has been a journey of 8 years only, but the BBA of DME was ranked among the top 4 BBAs by none other than India Today. Talking about the school, well, I will be talking in terms of what we do and then what is the output. Now what we do, the first thing what we do is we teach. So what do we do when we teach? Means everybody teaches. So what is special about us? The first thing is that we have a qualified battery of teachers. Half of them are PhDs. That is something very great. So if I have 15 teachers, probably 7 are PhD holders. And of course, everybody is UGC NET. That is a minimum standard which DME has applied. Second, what do we do about the content providing? When we provide the content, we provide it in the form of video lectures. Say for instance, a syllabus has got 40 lectures. So 40-minute videos multiplied by 40. So 40 videos of 40 minutes each, that makes the subject complete. This capsule is given to the student even before he starts the course. So when a student comes to the class, he is not coming for learning the basics. He is coming for going into the depth, for getting his queries answered and entering into the discussion. Then we very smoothly shifted to the E mode when this COVID happened, and during the half of the previous semester we have learned how to take classes through the E mode. We have presentations in the classes which are an integral part of our BBA, and we have a continuous monitoring system wherein we have surprise tests, quizzes, etc. We do maintain transparency. The marks are displayed to the students so that if there is any problem, the students can compare their marks and they can tell the teacher that, look ma'am, this is here where you should have given me more marks. So that is the kind of transparency we maintain. We have a series of lectures which we have rightly named as Peter Drucker series, wherein we have great people from the industry visiting our campus and mingling up with my students. So we had the executives from ExxonMobil, we had the founder of Bikanerwala, we had people from Samsung, JK White, so on and so forth, who visited our campus. They mingled up with the students and they told the students how they are running their companies. As far as our library is concerned, we have an ample resource system which includes hard as well as soft copies. And yes, lastly about the teaching, I'll say we have very pleasant classrooms wherein students can sit and have a nice lecture. The second part of the BBA story at DME is the experiential learning. The first part was the teaching part, the vertical part. The second is the horizontal or the experiential learning. When we talk about experiential learning, we take care of the analytical skills of the students, because management is all about analysis. Who is a manager? A manager is the one who can analyze the situation and decide accordingly. So we work on the analytical skills of the students, and for that we take them to the laboratories. They work on softwares like SPSS, and this is how they hone their analytical skills. We have hands-on projects, surveys, etc., which give a practical kind of exposure to the students. We have summer trainings, which are part of the curriculum, wherein the student goes to the industry and he or she learns how the industry operates. We also have management games, and there are so many interesting management games which we allow students to play in the class. We also have add-on courses like courses on Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PPTs, which are certified by none other than Microsoft. And these add-on courses are also provided to the BBA students. Coming to the industrial visits, well, we have a schedule of industrial visits wherein we take due care that students visit all the 3 sectors of the economy, which means the students go to visit for corporates which are related with agriculture, which are related with manufacturing, and which are also related with the services sector. We do understand the fact that 55% of India's GDP, close to 55% of India's GDP comes from the services sector. So we take due care while conducting our industrial visits that we not only take our students to the factories, but we also take them to the banks, to the stock exchanges, to the insurance companies, to the hospitals, to the hotels, which contribute to the services sector. Well, having said about the experiential learning, the third part is how do we make our students corporate ready? Yes, I am talking about the attitudinal part. How do we hone the attitude of the students? Because, you know, if the attitude is raw, the corporate would not accept a student even if the student has got an excellent set of knowledge and skills. So what do we do for that? Yes, we have something called finishing school, wherein we work on the expectation setting of the student. We work on ice-breaking systems. We work on organizational structure. We teach the student how to work on his or her SWOT. We teach them corporate jargons. We teach them how to speak in public. We teach them the presentation skills, email etiquettes, telephone etiquettes, body language, group discussion, personal interviews. This is all which we do so that the student is corporate ready. Now I have to conclude my session. And yes, how do I conclude? Well, the conclusion is simple. What is the proof that whatever we are doing is good? Well, the proof is very simple. Which are the corporates which are visiting to my campus and picking up students? Well, the list is very long. I'll just give an indicative list. Cvent visited my campus. Cvent is a company which offers a great package, maybe close to 8 lakhs. Amazon is a regular visitor to my campus. Byju's is a regular visitor to my campus. NIIT, Lakme, Oathbridge. I can go on speaking the names. And my dear audience, I can tell you all these corporates, they come to DME, they select these students and offer them a great career. With this, I'll end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for this insight. Now, there are some specific queries that I would like to ask, and these are mostly related to admissions. So, who other than you can be a better person, sir? Sir, there are students who are asking that whether the admissions at IP University courses this year will be taken on the basis of 12th board examinations.
I can give my fair opinion on this. That considering the situation, the probability of holding the CET by IPU is grim. It's very, very low. So I believe that by the end of July, IP is going to announce that they are not in a position to hold the CET, and therefore the admission should be done on the basis of marks in 12th class. We are pretty sure on that. And I can also add here, Dr. Swati, that IPU has already instructed the colleges to go ahead with the admissions, because probably somewhere they have decided in their own boardroom that they will not be able to conduct the CET.
But in that case, sir, I think the CET registration is one thing that is mandatory. Can you just...
Right, that is the only thing which is required. And the CBSE has already announced day before yesterday that they are not in a position to hold the exam. Therefore, they will be declaring the result based on various parameters or formula. So the 12th is done for all the students. Congratulations to all the students for passing 12th with flying colors. And as far as CET is concerned, CET is not going to be held in my opinion. And therefore, the university is going to announce that the admissions should be done based on the marks in 12th class.
But then we have to take into consideration, students, that registration at CET is must. Sir, because
that obviously is a must. That obviously is a must.
Because if you are not registering for CET, then in any case you are.
Yeah, then IP University is very strict on that. They do not consider students who are not registered, come what may. They are very strict on that.
Sir, another question that has been raised by 2-3 students is that are we entertaining direct admissions?
Well, the university has already authorized us to do that. So we are doing that. So I invite all the participants, all the students to visit the campus. If they cannot visit, then the campus is open all 7 days from 9 to 5. And if they cannot visit, they can take a virtual tour and they can fix up a virtual online interview. And yes, we are going ahead with the admissions and we are offering the seats. We are accepting the fee.
Okay. So then just one or more things, like somebody has asked that is there any other subject relating to language other than English and Hindi? So
well, English is there in all the 3 courses. In BBA, we have business communication part 1 and 2. In journalism, we have Hindi also as a language because a lot of journalism, rather I should say majority of the journalism in India is in Hindi. And so in journalism, we have Hindi and English both. In law, we have something called legal English. So this is when we talk about the language, because it's not like pure Hindi or pure English. When we talk about a professional course, it's the application of that subject. So it is legal English when it comes to law. It is communication skills when it comes to BBA. And it is, say, the media kind, the English which is used, or the Hindi which is used for content writing when it comes to journalism. So it's not language in its pure form when it comes to a professional course. It's the applied form of that language.
Sir, is there any difference in the CBSE pattern and the NIOS pattern? There is a student who has asked that because
there is no difference. NIOS and CBSE, they are working on the same pattern, and NIOS is nothing but a modus operandi for those who, due to some situation, due to some condition, cannot go to school on a regular basis. Otherwise, NIOS is on par with CBSE 12th. There is no difference at all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. There are these general queries that I'll just take, like some students have mentioned that we have filled CLAT. So, and do we need to fill CET also along with CLAT? So this I have already mentioned.
Yes, yes, as far as law is concerned, students remember two things. One is 4,000 for CLAT, another is 1,200 for CET. If you have paid 5,200, you are eligible. As simple as that.
Okay. So thank you so much, sir. Is there any other query that any student would like to ask? Probably if you just raise your hand, we can unmute you. Or in general, I'll just highlight the main points as far as the admission process is concerned. For law courses, you have to register for both CLAT and CET. Without both these registrations, you will not be eligible for IPU admissions. And for BBA and BAJMC, you have to register for IPU. Most of the colleges, as per the university guidelines, will be Ritvik sir. Mr. Yash has raised his hand. He wants to ask a question. Can you please unmute him? So as far as the BBA and BJMC courses are concerned, you have to fill IPU, the CET exam for sure. Yes, you have been unmuted. You can ask your question.
Good evening, every official. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to ask a question. My basic question is that, what is the average annual package at your college for
you
law?
are talking about which school, Yash?
Law.
Okay, law school, I think the average is 4 lakh per annum.
4 lakh per annum, thank you. And
Yeah,
today I have registered
if I have to give an example, then Transport Corporation of India, Tax India, all these companies have offered a package around 5 lakhs. So that is why I'm saying the average is around 4.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I would like to ask one more thing. Today I have registered or applied for a college. So how I can arrange a virtual interaction with you or for an interview?
Okay, if you have filled the registration form for this webinar, then somebody from our college can communicate with you maybe on Monday.
Okay,
and,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, and that executive will be guiding you how to move further.
Okay, thank you.
Please do us a favor. Please message privately to the host and share your number with him. We'll take your number from there, and even if you have not registered, we'll get back to you on Monday.
And one last thing, actually I'm using my brother's device, that's why his name is coming. Actually I am Nipun and I have registered with my name. So there should not be any confusion regarding the name.
Okay, Nipun, you can message me privately here in the chat. I'm Parul.
Okay.
You can find me. Just message your contact number and email ID and we'll get back to you on that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, dear. Thank you so much, Amrish sir, Behel sir, and Swami sir, for providing information to the students. If anybody else is interested, we can take up the questions further, or else we would like to conclude the webinar. Somebody has asked if we have BCom. So no, we do not have BCom. We have BBA, Law, and BJ.
We focus only on the professional courses.
Yes, primarily. There is one. Sir, there is a student who had done his 12th in 2019 and
okay.
intends to admission. So he is eligible, I guess, with a 1 year.
Yeah, this student is lucky because last year only, even Amrish sir was a part of that effort, and there was a student in journalism. Sir, I think she's Ayushi Verma.
Yeah.
So she was around 23 years and she took up this case with the university, and the university has permitted. And now the upper age of taking admission after 12th, any course after 12th, is 25 years. So this student is very much eligible.
Okay, so Mr. Sefi, you are eligible for taking admission. Thank you, guests. Thank you for giving us. Thank you for telling the students about the admission process and the various prospects. With this, we'll come to an end of the webinar. On behalf of the entire DME team, I would like to thank each one of you personally and from the team side for making success. Thank you, Amrish sir. Thank you, Behel sir. Thank you, Swami sir. And thank you, dear audience. Thank you to Ms. Parul Grover.
Thank you.
My other team members, Dr. Purva Ranjan and Ms. Roli Vadva. Thank you, dear all. We'll now conclude the webinar. There will be a feedback form that will be shared after this. Parul ma'am, has the feedback form been shared?
Yes, no, it has not been shared. Ritvik sir, kindly share the link of the feedback form on the chat window. And the participants, I request you to kindly copy that link so that once we end the meeting, you still have the link handy with you and you can paste it on your browser and then fill the feedback form.
And still, in case somebody has a query, please mark your query to the host in the next 5 minutes. We are still on with the meeting. So we'll just take note of it and get back to you. Over to you, Ms. Parul Grover. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of DME, I also extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all the heads of Delhi Metropolitan Education for giving away the required information about DGS, ITU and the courses that we offer. I hope the students would now be able to take an informed decision. Before you leave, the participants, I request you all to kindly look at the chat window and copy the link of the feedback form and give us your valuable feedback. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.